Well, hello Internet, and welcome to part 16 of my Android Development for Beginners tutorial. Today I'm going to focus in 100% on how to share databases between different screens inside of App Inventor. And one of you guys sent me a message and you said whenever I describe this to please keep it very, very simple. So I'm going to make it even simpler than what I covered in part 15. And I'm going to show you how we're going to be able to create a list. We're going to be able to update data in the list. And we're going to be able to remove data from the list. And also we're going to update a list picker along the way. So let's just go ahead and look at exactly what we're going to have at the end of this tutorial. Okay, and as you can see right here, here is our application, and there is going to be a field where we're going to be able to enter in a new name, and also there's going to be buttons that are going to allow us to pull up all of our friends' So I'll just enter a friend's name, and then I will hit add friend, and that's going to be automatically entered into my list picker. And then I'm just going to put in another name here just so that we have a couple different things inside of here. And now that I have those in there, you can see I hit the list picker and it's going to show the two friends that I have listed. Then I'm going to go in here and just check on one of my friends randomly, and then I'm going to make an update to it. And then I just click on update and the database is automatically going to be updated. We can also see here, I'll return to the open screen and click on friends, and you can see that yes indeed the list picker has also been updated. And I put in a couple little protections so that if somebody tries to add a friend and they don't actually put a name in, it's going to tell them to please enter a name and a whole bunch of other different things. And then finally, if I would go in here and put somebody in that wasn't a friend, of course I'm going to be able to go in here and just click on add a friend and then jump over to friends and then go in and delete those friends. So hopefully I did a good job here, basically showing you how to update, remove, and do all sorts of things with databases between multiple different screens, and also keep everything simple. So the only thing I have left to do is go and put the blocks together and make this app work. Okay, so now you saw exactly what we're going to have at the end of this tutorial, and this is the layout we have here, and it's extremely simple. It's just a horizontal arrangement. I have a label, I have a text box for you to enter your friend's name, add friend, and whenever you click on the list picker, it's going to show a list of all of your friends that you're then going to be able to either update or remove. And very importantly, we're going to have a tiny database that we're going to drag over here, as well as a notifier, and then we're going to have multiple screens like we had before. This one's going to be called Friend Edit Screen, and there you can see Friend Edit Screen, and you're also going to be able to see over here another horizontal arrangement, a label, a text box, and then three buttons. One's for update, one's for unfriend, and one is for exit, which is going to send you back to the other screen. So pretty much everything's going to be covered. Very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into screen 1. That's where everything's going to be opened. And of course, if you want to come in here and be able to use the database, you're just going to go into storage and then TinyDB. This is it. You just drag it over there. All right, so let's jump over into the block section and let's start building the functionality of this guy. Alright, so here we are inside of the block section, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a database in both of those different screens. However, most of the manipulation that goes on in the block section here is going to be done with a list that every single time I make a change to that list, it's going to update the database. And I'm also going to go out of my way here to try and keep everything simple. Now, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create myself some new variables. Just put this inside of here, and the very first one we're going to create is basically just going to store the value for the number of items that I have inside of my list. So I'm just going to go into the math section and drag a 0 over here. Alright, great. Then what I need to do is I am going to also, of course, store all this information inside of a list, and that's what this is going to be. And I'm going to call this guy list of friends. And of course, all of the blocks that you see here are available in a link in the description. Let's just get rid of that. Then let's go over into the list section and create ourselves an empty list. Grab this guy right here and drop it right there. Now let's walk our way through exactly what I'm thinking here. First thing I want to do is whenever the screen is going to be initialized, what I want to do is I want to go out to my database and I want to pull in all of my friends into that list. So screen initialize, drag this out of here and drop it right there. And of course you can view this full screen. Now the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the items inside of my list. So just go items in list, and I want to go in here to set and drop that right there. And then I'm going to make a call to my database, TinyDB, and I'm going to get values. I'll drag this out of here, drop that right there. So there you can see everything. And then the name for the data inside of my database is going to be called friends list. And there it is. And then I'm going to make sure that there is some data inside of there. So I'm going to go into control, if then, drop that right there. And then I'm going to go into my text area. Then I'm going to go into the logic section, drag that there, drop it. And I'm going to say if the items in a list, so I'm going to do a get, is not equal to nothing, which means that it's empty. Then I want to go and get the information that's stored in the database and put it inside of list of friends. So I'm going to go list of friends, and I'm going to say set, drop that right there, go over into my database again, and go get value, and drag that right there, and then friends list is what I'm going to put. I could have just duplicated that, but whatever. Duplicate, drop it right there, and then I'm going to call a function called update list picker, which is going to update the list picker. But I'm going to create that right now. So come over into procedures, and I'm going to create a new procedure and drop it inside of there. And then for this procedure, I'm going to call this update list picker, and that's exactly what it's going to do. And so I don't forget, I'm going to go into procedures and make a call to update list picker and put it right there, because we're only going to do that if we get information from our database. Okay, so what's the list picker going to do, or update list picker going to do? It's basically just going to cycle through the list of friends and put all of them inside of the list picker. So that means I'm going to have to create some more variables here. Anytime I'm going to be sorting through a list of different things, I'm going to need an index, and that's just going to start off at the value of 1 and then increase each time we go through our list. Just come over here and get ourselves a number. This might seem very, very simple, but I mean, it's everything you basically need to know if you want to work with databases between multiple different screens inside of App Inventor. Okay, so we got that. I'm going to need myself 2 more variables created inside of here. I'm going to have my temporary list picker element, because what we're going to be doing is slowly generating all of the different selection options inside of the list picker, and this is going to hold each one of them temporarily. I'm going to get rid of this, drag it down here, throw that away, back up here, and I'm going to give it a value of nothing to start off. And then we're going to have the final part that is going to create all the selections or store all the selections for our list picker, and that's going to be called list picker elements. And it's not going to have anything here in the beginning. And what I'm going to be doing here is I have here friends list picker right there, just to jump ahead a little bit. Well, whenever you want to create a list picker, you're going to create it with this guy right here, elements from string. So in essence, what we're going to be doing in update list picker is creating a long string that's going to have all the elements that we want to put inside of our list picker. Now, the very first thing I want to do here is make sure that I actually have things inside of my list called list of friends. So anytime there's a condition, that means I need if then. I'm down here, drop it right there. And here I'm going to say that I want to check that list of friends, the length for that list, which is this guy, list of friends right here, is going to be greater than 0. So I'm going to get this guy, drag it down here, drop it right there temporarily, back up into math. And I want this guy right here because I want to check for if it's greater than or whatever. It's just going to be greater than. And I'm also going to be checking the list. So I want to go in here and be able to generate the length of my list. Drop it right there. And then this is going to be list of friends. And then I want to check that it's greater than 0. Let's just drag this down there and drop it right there. Alright, so now that I know that I have some friends that I can cycle through, I need to cycle through them. So how are we going to do that? Well, if anytime we want to cycle through things, we are either going to use for each or we're going to use while. I'm just going to use while just to keep it simple. Drop that right there. And then my check is going to be that the index is less than or equal to the length of my list. So again, we're going to be coming up here, math, grab this guy, drop it down here. I'm going to get my index, this guy right here, which is going to be incrementing. Drop that right there. And then length of list, this guy right here. Might as well just duplicate this and then make sure that this guy right here says we're going to continue cycling as long as the index is less than or equal than the length of our list. Okay, so what exactly are we going to do here? Well, we are going to cycle through the list of friends and we are going to add them individually to the temporary list picker element, which is this guy right here. And then after we get each one of them, we are then slowly, as we go through, going to add them to the list picker element which is the very final thing that's going to generate all of the data for our list picker. So I'm going to go and get this guy and go set, drop him right there. And then I'm going to need a join because I not only want each individual friend from my list of friends, but I also want to put a comma inside of there. Just come up here to text and join. I find this satisfying for some reason. I know you guys can't hear the click whenever I'm doing it, but there's the click. And I'm sure if you're using this App Inventor, you hear the click all the time. And then what I want to do is just select the very first item, drag this out of here, grab this, drag it there, and drop it. And the list I'm going to be working with is list of friends, so let's just get this. And then the index I'm going to be working with is this index right here, so let's just get that and drop it right there. There we go. And then I want to go and put a comma inside of there to separate all the elements. Put a comma there and drop it right there. Okay, so after I get that first list item, I then want to add it to the master list, this guy right here. So we're going to go set, drop it right there. And I'm going to need another join just to save time. I'm going to duplicate this. And then of course you can always go in here and just select these guys and say delete this way. Do whatever you want. And then I'm going to get my list picker element, this guy right here, get it, which is going to start off with nothing in it. And then I want to add to it my temporary. So get this. And that's going to generate each one of those. And then I want to increment my index. That's the final thing I'm going to do here. Go back up in math, and we're going to be adding 1 to index. And there's the 1. And yes, you can also just create numbers. You don't have to pull them out of the math section. I just do that. I do weird things like that sometimes to show you guys where all the information's coming from. And then after I get all that set, I want to set my list picker. So go find my list picker right there. There we go. And set the list picker with the elements from a string. Well, we just created that string. Let's drop that right there. And then this guy right here is going to be the guy that we're going to use. And there you go. That is how we're going to update our list picker. Pretty good. Now what we need to do is set up exactly what is going to happen after they pick an item from our list picker. Well, basically we're going to go to the other screen. So we're going to go over here to Friends List Picker. And then we're going to go and pull out after picking. So after they pick an item, we're going to do something. And basically what we're going to do here is we are also going to store another value inside of the database, which is going to be the item that was picked. And then we're going to go to our other screen. And this is just the way I chose to do it. So we're going to go store value, grab this, drop it right there to show you multiple different ways of getting values. The name of this tag is going to be friend picked. Drag that right there. And the value to store we're going to get from our list picker again. And go over here. And we want to specifically get the index for the item that was selected. And that's this guy right here. So let's drag it right there. And there we go. Now we're going to have that. And now what we need to do is call for our other screen to open. And that is inside of control. Just come inside of here and open another screen with a screen name. Drop it right there. And the name of our other screen is friend edit screen. And drop that right there. And of course that is the same as right there. Friend edit screen. See? Okay, that's where that comes from. And now what we need to do is figure out what are we going to do when the other screen is closed. And to figure that out, we go to screen and we specifically look at other screen closed to make sure that we have our database all updated after changes are made over on the other screen. So what we're going to do is change the value for list of friends based off of the changes that were made in the other screen. So just go over here and get list of friends. Drag it down here, right like that. And then we're going to make a call to our database to get the updated database information. So get value, this guy right here, drop it right there. And what do we want? We want friends list. Now I actually like to come in here and just copy these things just to make sure that I don't make an error. And let's just drag friends list down here. Now something that we would need to do here is, since we're going to be updating our list picker, well, we want to zero out our list picker. So we want to eliminate any items that we have inside of it. So we're going to go into list picker elements and we are going to say set, and we're just going to put nothing inside of there. Drag it, drop it right down there. And then of course just go and put this guy here, duplicate this. And that's just going to make sure that we don't add list picker elements on top of list picker elements. And then another thing to do is we also want to make sure that our index is set back to 1. So this guy up here, we want to set it back to 1. So get set, drag it, and there we go. And then let's just put a 1 inside of here. There's our 1. And then the final thing we want to do is call for our update list picker to be executed. And there we go. Everything's going to be up to date. Now, the final thing we were going to want to do here is make the button that allows us to add friends to work, because that's going to occur on screen 1. So we're going to say whenever the add friend button is clicked on, we want to do a series of things. Just drag it and drop it right there. And let's move this up here so we can mess with it. But of course we want to protect to make sure that they actually enter a name inside of here. So we're going to get an if then, because if they accidentally click on the add friend button, that's going to put an empty space in there if we don't check. So let's go into math and drop that right there. And then we can do a whole bunch of different things. Let's say that we want to check the length of whatever's in that screen to make sure it's greater than 1. So let's take length in there. But then let's also trim out any white space just to verify that they didn't put a blank space inside of it. And then of course where we're going to be pulling that information from is the text box where they're going to be able to enter a new friend's name. Grab that and drop it right there. And then we just want to verify that it is greater than 0. Alright, so now that we're positive they actually entered a friend's name, then we want to add that friend to our list of friends. So again, we're going to be using lists and add items to list right there. Drop it right there. And the specific list we're going to be using is the list of friends. This guy way up here. And then the item that we want to add is going to be this guy right here. So let's just duplicate that. And there we go. And that's how easy it is to add that. However, we want to now update our list picker. So just duplicate this. And then I also want to save this information to our database. And actually, this is kind of getting a little bit crowded right here. So I'm going to create a new procedure. In the real world, when I'm using App Inventor, I tend to have a lot more procedures than I actually show here. But just wanted to keep everything nice and tight. But in this situation, I'm going to actually create a new procedure that's going to save the information to a database. Let's call it save list to DB2. There we go. And then this is just going to be friends list. And the value to store is going to be the list of friends. So let's just duplicate that. Drop it right there. And then we'll call that procedure. Save list to DB. Then on top of that, I think I'd also like the text box here to go back to blank after the friend's name is entered, because that sort of makes sense to me. So just put that inside of there, put a quote, and now that's going to be zeroed out. So that looks nicer. And I think I also want to put an else statement inside of this. So else, if they did not enter a friend's name, but they did click on the add friend button, I'd like to put a little notification. Go into the notifier, and let's just do a show alert, because it's not that big of a deal. And then inside of this, I'm going to put a little message that says, please enter a name. And there we go. And that is everything. That is every single thing, not that much, every single thing you're going to need to do to be able to add friends and then also jump to another screen and all the other checking that's involved. So now what we need to do is go over into Friend Edit Screen and put all the blocks that we need there. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to be doing some initialization, of course, and the very first thing I want to do is have the friend index, which is the friend that we're going to be edited. I want that to be stored, so I'm going to create a variable, and just drag this and drop it right there, and let's just call this friend index, because this is going to be the friend that we're either going to edit or delete, and let's just say that it starts off with a 0, and then we're going to have our list of friends again, so let's go in here, variable again. And this is going to be the list that's going to temporarily store the information from the database. And let's go into this list and create empty list. Alright, so whenever this is initialized, this screen, and then want to do some different things here. Mainly just update the information from the database. And the very first thing we're going to do is go to the friend index, and we're going to set the value for that. This once again is going to be the friend that is going to be edited, and this TinyDB is going to be shared. So let's just get this in between the screens. It's the same exact database, so we can pull the values from it. And let's call this friend picked. So that's going to be the item that was clicked in the list picker. And then we're also going to want to get our friends list to edit. I have to get that from the database as well. Let's just go and duplicate this. Friends list. And then it also would probably be a good idea to put the name of the friend in our text box that we have here. So friend edit text box down inside of here, and set the text for that so that we know what friend we're going to be editing. And to get that, we're going to go into the list section and select list item. Select list item right there, and we have the index. And the index is going to be that our friend index that we have right here. So get this guy, put that right there. And the list is going to be this guy. And there we go. Have all that set up. Now we basically have to get all our other buttons working here. So let's create another procedure. And this one right here, I'm going to call update friend info. Update friend info. And this is basically just going to replace one list item with the new data that we input. So messing with lists again. And specifically, we're going to look for replace here, replace list item, and we're going to be using indexes. So drop that right there. And the list that we're going to be using is the friends list edit. So let's get that, drop that there. The index we're going to be working with is going to be the friend index that we were told to edit. Drop that right there. And then the replacement is going to be the data that was entered. So whatever they put inside of the edit text box, that's going to be the change. So we just get that out of there and drop it right there. Then what we're going to want to do is update our database. But the first thing we're going to want to do is tie this procedure to this update friend button right here. So I'm going to say whenever that's clicked, I want update friend info to be called. Update friend info, and drop that right there. And then let's create a brand new procedure just for updating my database. See, I'm doing a lot more of messing with or separating everything into procedures. I just like doing this in the real world. I don't know why. Just always like doing that. So let's go update DB, and then this is just going to call our database and save everything inside of it. So store value, and then friends list is going to be what we're going to update. Friends list, that's the tag. And what we're going to store inside of it is our friends list. This guy up here. Get, and there we go. There's the friends list, and that's how we're going to update the database, and it's going to affect both screens. Okay, so now that we got that set, then I need to make a call to update the database every single time our friends info is updated. Go into procedures again, update database, and drop it right there. Okay, so pretty much everything's set up except, let's just go in here and get rid of the exit button. So whenever the exit button is clicked on, that's going to close our screen. Go into control, close screen, drag that, drop it over here, and that's going to send us back to the original screen. And then the only other thing we need to do is handle what's going to happen whenever the unfriend button is clicked on. How to delete people from the database. So get this guy, unfriend. Let's just drop it over here. There it is. Okay, and we would just want to do a couple different little checks here to make sure that we actually have the friend in the list and things like that. So anytime we want to do that, we're going to go into control and do an if-then statement. And let's say that we want to check that the friend is actually in the list. Well, we go into list, and we can just say is in list, drag that there. Then we're going to put inside of that the friend that they entered inside of here. So let's duplicate this. The thing is going to be the friend, and then the list itself is going to be this guy right here. So let's just duplicate that. And if the friend is in there, we want to remove it from the list. So I'm doing my best to cover a ton of different things you're going to do with lists. Drop it right there. And then we're going to get the actual list. Duplicate this. And then the very specific friend we're going to be deleting, we're going to go get it based off of the data that's right here. So we now have the name of the friend we want to delete, but we need to get the index for that. So again, we're going to go into list, and then we're going to look for index in list with the thing. We got that, drop that there. And the thing that we want to get is whatever friend's name they put in there. And then of course the list is going to be this guy again. Sort of a roundabout way to get that. And then let's say that we want to put like a notifier that says you just unfriended somebody, because that's kind of a mean thing to do. Let's just do a show alert. Drop that right there. We have more than one line, so I'm going to need a join. Grab that, drag it, drop it right there. And then inside of this, we're going to say this friend, duplicate, you just entered, has been unfriended, if that's a word. Has been unfriended. I hear people saying unfriended all the time, so there we go. And I'm also going to put an else statement in here if they try to delete something that doesn't exist. Else, notifier, and then make this one a little bit longer. Let's get the show message dialog. Drag it right there. And then the title that we want to put here is not on friends list. That's the title. And then the message, let's do another join here. Duplicate. And in this situation, we're going to say the friend that they entered. However, here we're going to say is not one of your friends. And then button text, I'm just going to put OK. And there we go. That's the whole entire app. That is exactly how you're going to be able to add, remove, and update data in databases between screens. I just wanted to leave a special note at the end of this video that probably on March the 25th, 2014, Tuesday, I will be posting all of the questions that you can answer to qualify to have the opportunity to win a Samsung Galaxy Note 3. as well as a Samsung Galaxy Gear smartwatch. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's going to be going on my website. Fill out those questions, and if you get them right and you show up for the live drawing, you have the opportunity to win. So please leave your questions and comments below. Otherwise, till next time.